Today, a federal judge rejected Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator and convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal to reopen her case. The judge said the evidence in her trial, quote, conclusively established her guilt, end quote. And the breaking legal news of the night is that Democrats are filing a new lawsuit against Donald Trump's attempt to control voting by mail. Mark Elias announced on social media today, I am proud to be representing the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, the Democratic National Committee, the Democratic Governors Association, and leaders Schumer and Jeffries in the critical fight for voting rights. And in another case, remember these names: Brett Shuman, Eric Hamilton, Brentley Myers. They are the Trump Justice Department lawyers who put in writing in a court filing yesterday a threat from them to demolish the Kennedy Center in an attempt to obtain legal permission to put Donald Trump's name on the Kennedy Center. Those three eager vandals posing as lawyers told the court in writing, quote, the center will deteriorate further into an unsafe, decrepit structure that will be required to be taken down with a determination to follow on what to build on the site, such as a large outdoor amphitheater overlooking the Potomac River. They said that's what will happen to the Kennedy Center if Donald Trump cannot put his name on it. Joining us now is Andrew Weissmann, former FBI general counsel and an MS Now legal analyst. He is the author of Liar's Kingdom, How to Stop Trump's Deceit and Save America. Andrew, let's begin with the voting by mail case. A lot of fast action in the last 24 hours. The Supreme Court procedurally saying it was too soon to try to stop Donald Trump from doing what he's doing because the Postal Service had not issued their rule yet about mail-in ballots. Now the Postal Service has issued the rule. Now we have new lawsuits.
Yes, that is a perfect way to describe it, because there's a lot of language about the Supreme Court decision that sort of is overheated, because it is just a procedural decision in fact, although there is really disturbing language. My reaction to the announcement from Mark Elias is that the Democrats, it's basically, where have you been? Because there are already two lawsuits that have been seeking to enjoin what the president has done in his executive order in March. And one of those still has an injunction that's still in effect. And so the Supreme Court decision is one that, as a practical matter, so far does not serve to green light what is going on, because there is an injunction right now as to its going forward as to the midterm elections that are coming up. So it's great that there are more people bringing yet another lawsuit, but I don't see it adding anything to the two existing lawsuits. In fact, there are more than two that are going on with respect to the executive order.
So what should we expect to happen in this case between now and Election Day?
So it is going to head back to the Supreme Court. And let me give you the language in the decision from yesterday that I find most disturbing and is a way to sort of think about what is, I think, likely to come. And this is the part that's not good news. The way that the court described Donald Trump's executive order about mail-in voting is as follows. About 5 months ago, President Trump issued an executive order, and this is the key language, designed to maintain public confidence in federal elections. Well, that's certainly not how I think of the executive order. I don't think it's as you think about it. It certainly isn't how the people challenging it think about it. The court goes on to say that the executive order neither requires nor forbids anything of anyone outside the executive branch. That would seem to suggest that the court is looking at this as long as Donald Trump is just ordering things within the executive branch, he can do whatever he wants. Well, here's my hypothetical. What if he said, you cannot mail out or accept ballots from people who are Democrats. And in fact, by the way, what he is doing is a proxy of that. So that hypothetical really gets at the nub of it. That would be the president doing something solely within the executive branch, but would be plainly unlawful. And so I do think that this is going to be a battle royal within these lawsuits and within the Supreme Court as to whether this is going to be upheld or not. Huge challenge for voters, obviously, and a huge challenge, particularly in red states with governors who will go along with what the president is trying to do.
Andrew Weissmann, thank you very much for joining our coverage tonight.
You're welcome.